I think here's what I think we'll do. Like,
The first is that, and then you
we'll
grab
just
the
talk
other
about these boards, how they evolved from this board into that board. Okay, ready?
one. Yeah.
White tiger, red tiger, take one.
We have
Time out.
what's happening?
I just remembered, is that old broken one out in the front?
The board we're really talking about is the red tiger.
Well, but it's to
This
get
video
to
is
the red
about
tiger.
the video is about the red tiger.
All right.
But in order to get to the red tiger, we got to rewind a little bit back to the white tiger.
So we're gonna start at the start.
Here it is. This is the start.
This is the original white tiger.
I asked Pyzel once during COVID summer. I said, "Hey, can I get like 5 just really weird, odd boards?" And not really weird, odd, just fun boards.
Something different.
Five fun small boards for small waves. And so,
For the first time that you never ride weird boards.
yeah,
basically.
we had all this time.
So we're like, let's do something fun, right?
Ended up being the white tiger was one of those boards, and it was actually one of my favorite boards. I was having so much fun. The board is
Let's
so
just-
fast in little waves.
Just to be clear, you didn't ride it for like a year. At
Yeah, I
least
didn't ride it for
after
like a
made
year, and then I started riding it, and I was
Maybe more.
kind of obsessed with it.
But you didn't tell me about that until later.
Yeah. Anyway, and then fast forward all the way to this year, I had a white tiger on our trip, and I really liked it, and I just like the speed and the looseness of it for small waves. I don't know, for me in small waves, if you're going fast and having fun, I feel like that's like the ultimate board, and I was kind of doing that on this shape. As
Yeah.
you can see, it's very much a fun shape though.
A
So
chunky little fun shape.
yeah,
And this was also, so when you went to Fiji, I made you a quiver for Fiji. And then halfway through your Fiji trip, you called me or emailed me or texted me or something and said, one of my boards blew overboard.
yeah, I got one made for Fiji. I didn't even get to ride it. It blew overboard and got lost in the Pacific Ocean.
disappeared.
So hopefully someone will find it. It looks like this, red and yellow.
Yeah. So we made another one. I made another one of those.
And then, anyway, yeah, I kept riding in Fiji and I really liked it. And then when I was coming back and kind of wrapping my head around the tour year, I was starting to think about like a small wave board that would be fun. And I was just kind of thinking that if we could stretch this out to more of a short board.
You basically told me, you're like, can we just make this board? Why can't we make a board feel just like this, a short board?
And you told me no.
Well, you're like, just make it longer. So I'm like, that won't work.
So yeah, Pyzel told
Yeah.
me no.
I said no.
And then finally,
Like, just
we
try
shaped
this.
one. We shaped a 510.
Yeah.
And the 510 was insane. I loved it. And I was
That
like,
was so the 510 happened where you went to California. I remember Wasserman sent me a little clip of you riding a wave like this big at Newport, and Pat O'Connell was calling me going, what is that? What's going on?
yeah. And so that was kind of the birth of the red tiger. And then, yeah, so I mean, that was kind of it. We just kind of took it and stretched it out a little bit. Kind of tried to work on more of a refined version that would handle a little more power if needed. Which is what this is, and
That
it
thing
looks
is-
like a shortboard. You know, it's quite a bit more refined than the original white tiger. Like you can see in the tail, the tail's a lot narrower compared to this tail, and that's just because I think when we were stretching it, the problem we had was like the rails were getting too long and straight.
Everything was too straight, so we kind of pulled it in, and then the whole thing with this too is like it has that same bottom, so the bottom curves are based. This bottom curve and this bottom curve, like the contours are the same.
Yeah.
It has this like big exaggerated double concave V.
Yeah, if you
which is
look
pretty
down
cool.
the
It's
tail, I mean, you might not be able to see, but the V
Yeah.
in it is
It's-
pretty cool.
It's pretty unique
I
compared
really
to
like it.
compared to what you normally ride. It's real
It's just
different.
different looking.
But it definitely
That gives it like a looseness. I feel which I like.
like it rolls. Even though it's wide, it rolls easy, rail to rail. Flat rockered,
Yeah.
really flat rockered, so it's gonna glide and paddle really good too. Like all that flatness really keeps it going fast. This area here from your front foot in between your feet is super flat rockered down the center of the board.
Yeah.
That's what that V kind of helps create, that flatness right there, which is gonna get that thing just going through sections, super like flat little areas. It helps keep your
Yeah.
speed up.
It still has a lot of pivot to it, which is something that I really like when a board can pivot and fit in those kind of tighter situations. And weirdly enough, this board has a lot of pop off the tail for airs.
That was one thing I remember. You're like, compared to your Ghost, where you're like, oh, that tail's pulled in. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, I can just boost airs way easier.
It pops really well.
It has like this, that wider tail gives you like that release and gets you that little extra like pop now.
Oh yeah, the one thing too we were struggling with was the drive a little bit. Yeah. So you moved the back fin.
Front fins up. Move the front fins up a little bit.
Move the front fins slide a little bit forward. And yeah, I use concave, like a little bit bigger concave fins with this board, which I think is really fun with it. Speedy, yeah. It's really fun in small waves. For me, to have, just growing up here in Hawaii, you're so used to so much power, but when you can get on a small wave and just kind of do what you want and have fun and go fast, then...
Yeah, that I remember literally that was what you said to me. You're like, here's what I want. I want a short board that is fast and fun.
Yeah.
And that's it. Basically.
If you're going fast, you're having fun.
Exactly.
Fast is fun.
And so this whole thing has kind of come about just to be able to use on your low range of waves, basically, where you're like, hey, my Ghost feels a little big, a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And these boards are going to fit into that like smaller head high and under range when it's a little slower. It doesn't have to be that small, but just slower waves in general.
I picture like head high lowers. This board would be really, really fun.
El Salvador.
El Salvador.
Yeah, waves like that.
Kind of like shoulder to head high, mushy, fun point break waves.
That thing will excel. And you're bringing a White Tiger just for fun.
Yes.
Still.
White Tiger's coming for fun. We're going to put some foil boxes in it.
No foil boxes.
Overall, I would say order it a couple inches smaller than your shortboard and about a liter more.
Yeah, up a bit in volume, down a bit in length.
Yeah.
And then the White Tiger's way down. But you don't have to go, with the White Tiger, it's cool, you don't have to go way up in volume because it has that flat rocker that helps you paddle. A lot of people think like, oh, I'm on a smaller board, I need it to be like more volume to catch waves. But just because of the design itself, it paddles so well.
Yeah.
So that's it in a nutshell, I guess.
That's the Red Tiger.
Yeah. The Red Tiger, the White Tiger, and also another...
To get from the White Tiger to the Red Tiger, just to let everyone know, we went through like 15 different versions.
At least. All rushes. Every single one of them. Thank you to our glassers.
It was a lot of work.
Colpin, we appreciate it.
But it's pretty fun when you go through all those versions and you get to a board that works.
Good job. That's a wrap.
.510 version 1, 510 v1.1, 510 v1.2, 6.0 version 1, 511e v2.1, 511d v2, 511 v1. Call me, help you.